Hey, welcome back to the channel. And we just got the version 13.13 patch update, which is all the balance changes that we have been waiting for. So we are going to go ahead and read right through this. I kind of skimmed it. I've got some initial thoughts. I'll let y'all know what I think as we read this, and then what I think is gonna be strong moving forward. So, of course, first card update we have is that they have dropped Thanos from his 11 power back to his 10. And we've got the developer's notes right here that they had increased the power back when Zabu and Silver Surfer were strong. But they're happy to keep him at the 9 plus power. That way he is still Shang-Chiable, if that's the right term. So I think that is important that he is able to still be destroyed. But ultimately, whatever power Thanos isn't that big of a deal, right? This next change, though, is a huge nerf to Thanos, and the Space Stone on reveal used to be that on your next turn you could move one card out of this location. So what you could do is you could fill up your location with Lockjaw and move something really big, or you just move your Lockjaw together and you do the same thing again with another lane where you're just throwing in a bunch of cheap things and pulling out big cards. So now you're going to be able to move to the space location. So this is going to be a huge nerf. A lot of times when you get an unfavorable location where you can't play a card there, you could play it in a different lane with the Space Stone and then just slide it in. That's going away. So I do like this change. This is, like I said, this is going to make a huge impact on the strength of Thanos, mainly in nerfing Logjaw's power a little bit. The next thing, I do not like this change. So Quinjet now reduces to a minimum of 1. So that means that the stones are not going to cost 0. So again, another huge nerf to Thanos. You're not going to be able to play out Quinjet and then Lockjaw and then throw stones in for free. The stones are always going to cost 1. And unfortunately, I think a lot of fun and cool decks are going to get caught in the crossfire here. I do think, however, I mainly play Quinjet inside of the Dino package. I don't think it's going to be a huge nerf there because most of the cards that you're reducing, like Sentinel, or things that you get from Agent Coulson, they are not 1 cost cards, so it's not a huge deal there. But unfortunately, things like being able to play a 0 cost demon or moon girling the decks that double up She-Hulks and your hood and things like that. Yeah, that's probably going away a little bit, I would think. So I hate to see this. I feel like they are hardcore targeting Thanos, and I think maybe they should have just stuck with maybe a leech or the heck, I can't think of the name, the Space Stone, and then went from there. But they're going all out. Hopefully this change maybe gets reverted, but we'll see what happens. This next one, I don't really know. I don't see it too much as a nerf because Red Skull was a 5/5. I mean a 5/15, which means if you played him out on a location that was full, he was ultimately a 5/7 because you were giving 2 power to 4 cards across. So that was an 8-point swing. Now he's a 5/13 and he's only going to be giving 1 power for each card across the board. So essentially he would be a 5/9 if you play him at a location that is full. At the end of the day, Shuri doubling Red Skull is still 26 power. The difference between 26 and 30, I don't think makes or breaks a whole lot of games. There's not a whole lot of cards that can compete with 26 power. We'll see. They said this change singly aimed at reducing the strength of the combined Red Skull with Shuri and Taskmaster. So instead of being able to play 60 power out, you'll be able to play 52. Is my math right? So, we'll see. I think it's kind of a buff, and it's a buff in some situations, and I guess maybe a slight nerf in others. She-Hulk, they're reducing 1 power. I think She-Hulk's still going to be good, right? I like She-Hulk. I don't think the nerf was necessarily needed, but I don't think she's going to be unplayable either. And I think that's what we like to see. We like to be able to see a card be changed and still be playable. This next one, I don't know how much play we're going to see. I think they might have given Arrow the leader treatment here a little bit. So Arrow is now back to her 5/8 power, And so when I saw that, I was like, oh no, what did they do? So on reveal, move the last enemy card played this turn to this location. So now you can play around Arrow. It's only going to move the last card you play. Now, Arrow will still be good in situations where someone's only trying to drop a really big 6-cost card on the final turn, because you'll be able to move that. But if you're trying to do things like Shang-Chi and another card, you'll be able to play around Arrow. And so let's read what they said. They said Arrow is a tricky card for us. The actual game balance for Arrow has been healthy, and she fills a vital role in our game by providing interaction, especially against dangerously polarizing cards like Galactus. We'll come back to that. It is important for Arrow to be versatile and strong in order to be widely playable tech card, but we don't want her pushing the majority of other 5-cost cards out of decks. And I think that's what they were seeing, is that hey, I need to put a 5-cost card in here. Okay, Arrow, right? Like every deck you just put Arrow in and it makes it better, right? So I think they're trying to bring her down a little bit so that other 5-cost cards are competitive for that slot. We'll come back to the Galactus thing. So they are nerfing Mystique, Absorbing Man, and Taskmaster. These cards now require previous played cards to still be on the board. And the term they're using, if it's in play. So if you go to Mystique, a Darkhawk, or a Devil Dino, and someone shangs it, they have priority before you play Mystique. Your Mystique is going to be a 0. If somebody blows up your 26 power Red Skull and you play Taskmaster, it's going to be 0. And then Absorbing Man, I guess, whatever card he's copying is still got to be on the board, right? Yikes. I play a lot of Devil Dino, I play a lot of Darkhawk. We'll see what happens, because I hate to be throwing out Mystiques that are 0 costs, but that is the change that we have. Let's see. What do they say? This says adjustments, part balance, part matching expectations. A meaningful chunk of Taskmaster's strength in Shuri deck is his ability to copy a card's power, even if it has been destroyed by Shang-Chi or similar. An interaction and somewhat often gets reported as a bug. So again, maybe, Mystique's kind of getting caught in the crossfire of them targeting Shuri, just like Quinjet's kind of getting caught in the crossfire of Thanos. I don't know. I think a lot of times you're playing Red Skull behind your armor or your Cosmo. So I don't think it's going to make a whole lot of difference to Taskmaster, but I'm sure it will here and there. And then they said in Morbius, his power is no longer going to be updated in hand or in deck, only at the location. So nothing's changing other than in your hand or in your deck. You're not going to see the numbers change as you destroy more cards. They're also doing this to Null. And the reason for that is that people that were trying to play Mr. Negative were getting screwed because their power was already updated in your deck. And so when you would get it, it'd be all screwed up. So basically, you're going to be able to Mr. Negative these cards. So this is a buff. All right. And that's it. There were no changes. Get off the screen. There were no changes to... we got to look at him. There's no changes to Leech. Maybe Leech didn't need it. Maybe they've done everything they can do and Leech won't be as big of a problem. We'll see, right? It's hard to make predictions until we see how things shake out. So what do I think is going to happen? I think, like what happens with most nerfs, people tend to quit playing things whether they're still good or not. A lot of times when something gets nerfed, people shy away from it, and they, I don't know, I guess mentally they just think it's bad. I do think Thanos took a massive hit, and he's not going to be as strong, and just with how people react mentally to nerfs, we're going to see Thanos's play go down. That's what I expect, or people are going to start running a different version of the Lockjaw Thanos that we've seen, right? I think if you were playing Big Shuri and you were seeing a lot of Big Shuri, I think you will continue to see Big Shuri. I don't think that's going away. Let me pull it up. We can go over a little bit. So the only changes were that Red Skull is now a 13 instead of a 15, meaning he is a 26 power when he has been played behind Shuri. Taskmaster is a 26 instead of a 30. Unless your Red Skull gets destroyed, and then he's a 0. She-Hulk went down 1 power. So if you play Shuri on turn 4, and then you float, instead of She-Hulk being a 20, she's going to be an 18. And instead of Taskmaster being a 20, he'll be an 18. Right? These are still very, very strong cards and a lot of power on the board. The other nerf would be Arrow. Maybe we take this card out, or maybe she stays. Maybe she continues to do her job. I think this is still a good deck. I think it's still a strong deck. I still think it's probably going to be a top 2, top 3 deck at the moment. I think we might see Death Wave come back into play. I think Death Wave may be pretty strong if we see a lot less Thanos. I think Galactus may start to run wild a little bit. If people shy away from playing Arrow, if people quit playing Arrow, that's one less tech that you have to beat Galactus. I think we may see Galactus have his time in the spotlight like Thanos did. I'm not really looking forward to that. I don't enjoy playing against Galactus personally, but hey, there's always going to be something in the meta that you don't enjoy, right? That's just how this is. Like, people just go from one thing to the next on things that they don't like. Me personally, I think I'm going to continue to play this bounce deck that Jeff came up with. It's very strong. I like it. What I'm afraid of is that if decks that play a lot of things start to run over the meta, I'm afraid we're going to start to see a lot of Sandman, a lot of ramp Sandman. And if that is the case, that is going to completely shut decks like this down. I think there's a card coming soon called Hit Monkey and maybe Kitty Pryde. I'd have to look, but basically playing lots and lots of cards. And if Sandman enters the meta, is not going to be really fun for those that are wanting to play a lot of cards, because you're going to be playing Uno. You're going to be playing one card. So that is my initial thoughts. I think they came gun blazing at Thanos. I think for Shuri, they did some slight things here and there that ultimately won't change the power of that deck. I think it's still going to be strong. I think slamming a 26 instead of a 30 will not change much. Some of the other things, like, I don't play those cards a whole lot, so it doesn't affect me as far as like the null and things like that. I'm kind of curious how Mystique's going to play if I end up getting screwed by that change, where if Dino or Darkhawk's not still on the board, it's a 0. We'll see. But my initial impressions are that Shuri is going to continue to be Shuri, and that we may have a Galactus problem brewing. So let me know what you think. Tell me down in the comment section. Changes overall. Are you happy with them? You dislike them? Favorite change? Do you think Arrow is still going to see play now that she may have gotten the leader treatment a little bit? Not nearly as bad as leader. I think she's still got her place. Just not ultimately going to be as strong as well. I think she's going to be more in line with what they want. Like I said, let me know down in the comment section. We got about 2 more weeks of this season, and we'll be moving on. I'm going to continue to play this bounce deck because it's fun until I start to see a lot of Sandman. Then we're going to have a problem there. All right, gang. I'll catch you in the next video.